Thank you for tuning in to the Survivor Not By Chance podcast. We discuss survivor stories from all walks of life with guests who have turned their traumatic experiences into inspirational stories. The show is for entertainment purposes only. We do not claim to be medical professionals, nor do we give medical advice. Let's get started. Come on in and enjoy the show.
Hi, welcome to Survivor Not By Chance podcast. We are in here live tonight, and we have Mark Momplaisir here. He's going to speak about his book, Strong Women, Fed Up Men, Defeated Sons, and Broken Daughters. I'm so excited to have him here with us tonight. We're going to speak about healing through generational trauma and how it affects our everyday lives. We're going to go back into history and bring it up till today. Mark, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here.
Absolutely. And so before I forget, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are here bringing you live survivor stories, and we're going to talk about everyday life, and we're going to show you how people turn pain into inspiration, how they turn pain into being survivors. And so we survive not by chance, but we survive because we fought to survive. All right, Mark, thank you for joining me again. And so tell me, please, what inspired you to write this book?
I wanted to change my own life, and I went into, the process of figuring out how to heal, how to be a better dad, a better person, a better friend, a better human being. So I went into that journey. And as I was in it, I had a therapist, and pretty much just going through some healing process, things that I needed to work through. And after that, I was pretty much inspired to write the book, and I started writing, just so kind of like journaling, really. And then it turned into just this words just kept coming out, and then you put it into structures, and it became a book. So it's pretty much what got me really into pretty much packaging the whole thing into a book, wanting to share my experience, wanting to share my journey and what I learned with everybody else, and kind of hopefully help somebody reach their own healing stage as well.
I love that. Absolutely amazing. And please give us more information about your background and what gives you the authority, really, to write this book talking about generational trauma.
Absolutely. I've been in this space, health and wellness, mental health for over 16 years. I have a graduate degree in patient care management. I have a master's degree in organizational psychology. The experience and talking to clients and friends and family and listening to stories, pretty much, helped me write the book. Honestly, whenever I'm asked this question, it's not really my educational background that necessarily helped me write the book. It was my own experience. It was my own observation and research, into becoming a better person, that actually helped me write the book, really.
I love that you said that it was primarily your personal experience, your background, and what you went through. Because a lot of people don't realize you can have as many degrees as you like, but if you haven't experienced it, it takes a part away. So people who have experienced different things with trauma and they write or they share their experiences and they have the educational background to go along with it, it just shows that everything that they're saying has a huge impact on how they're living their lives.
Absolutely. When I realized that, even growing up, witnessing things that just weren't healthy, and early on, I just knew that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life that way. I didn't want to raise my daughter to be in the same mindset that I was raised in. So I knew I needed to do something. and that just pushed me to really just dive into my own healing journey. Really, I know I keep talking about healing, but it was really important for me to face whatever it was that I was dealing with, personally, and get rid of those traumas. Really, you know what I mean? And that again helped me become more aware of who I was and who I am and who I'm supposed to be.
Yes, I love that you said that. When I started this podcast 2 years ago, Survivor Not by Chance podcast, I started this podcast as a way to document part of my healing journey.
Yeah.
So it coincides exactly with what you're saying. There are so many people who are trying to heal and trying to be a better person every day, and it comes through healing.
Right. Absolutely.
It comes through healing. And once we recognize that we need to heal and we need to improve on our inner person, then
Right.
that's when we are able to actually grow and prosper in multiple different ways, even in regards to having peace in your
Yes.
home. We'll get into that. But
That's
even when
important
it
for
comes
me.
to having peace in your home, peace starts in you. It starts
Yes.
in me. It starts in each
Hmm.
of us. And
Hmm.
so once we recognize that, then we can form these healthy relationships
Right.
with people around us at work, with people around us in our family, in our friend dynamics, with our children.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about your book. I absolutely love reading your book. I was so indulged in reading this
Thank
book because I can see certain parts of myself. I learned so much about myself reading your book.
you. I
You
appreciate
know, we forget healing is a everyday
it.
process.
Right. Right. It
Healing
is.
is ongoing. You will never fully heal.
Right.
Once we take ownership of that, then we can go forward and heal and be better people. So,
Mm.
in your book, you were speaking about, I have some notes here. You were speaking about during slavery time, and you refer to Black people here in America as African descent in your book. And so, explain to us what you meant by African descent when you wrote the book.
Well, I mean, we can choose to be called black, right? Which was what we were given. That was the name we were given, right? But when you really think about it, we are all Africans. You know what I mean? And we are a descendant of Africa. So I think if we can come to a space where we can accept that and be referred to as that, then we can all come together and understand that we are all in the same, I don't want to say basket, but the same group, right? We are the same people, and we're fighting for the same things, and we have to come together, and to do that, we have to change the narrative and change the mindset. So that's pretty much why I decided to refer to us, as the African descent people instead of black people, because it actually, my daughter, she's 5, and we were having a conversation one time, and she said, I'm not black, I'm brown. Right. So it's kind of confusing for even for the kids to say, you black or somebody's white, when that's not necessarily true. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And that was something that was given to us as a sign of, or a color of inferiority, really, just so we can be less than the white person. You know what I mean? So for me, I prefer to be African descent, because I have the African in me, even though I am Haitian. Also, I'm still part of Africa. So understanding that and claiming that, I think that kind of gives you a sense of, purpose and superiority in itself, and makes you feel like, what, I belong to Africa.
Yes.
And our ancestors, died and fought for this privilege for us to be called Africans, or African descent, instead of just black.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Um, and so I'm glad you said that because I'm learning more about my original heritage and my original culture. I'm American. I was born here, but my family, we didn't know what part of Africa we descended from.
Right.
And so, recently I did an ancestry DNA test to find out where I'm from.
Yeah.
And just learning more about that culture, it allows me to understand who I am as a person even more. So
Right.
I love that you said that we all need to unify,
Yes.
because when we
Absolutely.
unify, there is strength in numbers.
Absolutely.
So let's discuss the African descent women, and the expectations that they have on them,
Yeah.
during the slavery time span.
Well, I mean, during slavery, right? African descent women, were expected to be strong, right? You in fact you had to be strong, because if you weren't, then you wouldn't be able to endure everything that you had to endure. When you watch, your newborn being taken, away from you to be sold and auctioned as properties, that that's hard.
Yeah.
That's very, very detrimental to anybody's health, really, and anybody's well-being. So you had to learn to be used to it, right? And that requires a sense of strength, really, to kind of accept the fact that, what, I'm pregnant, I'm gonna have a child, and this child is not gonna be mine, right?
Yes.
And again, having to take care of the master's children, and unable to take care of your own. So a lot of things that men and women had to go through required us to have this sense of psychological strength. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here today. We
That's the
wouldn't
truth.
we wouldn't be able to survive. You know what I mean? And the reason why I talked about it in the book is the fact that, okay, well, we were there. We had to go through all those things, but at some point we have to get to a space where we stop surviving. You know what I mean? Where we seek healing, and not having to take on things to cause us to be strong. To cause us to be broken and hurt, but live a life that's just that's healthy and free and peaceful and loving. And that way you don't really have to be strong, because you have a great support system. You have a healthier path to follow, instead of having to do it all alone.
Yes, I love that. The stigma still exists today. So many African descent women are expected to be strong through grief.
Right.
We're expected to be strong through trauma.
Yeah.
We're expected to keep going as if nothing ever happened. And at some point, as African descent women, we have to take a stand and say, I will no longer put a facade up and make myself strong for
Yeah.
anyone else. I will seek healing, and I will do my best to heal on my own or any way possible that I can, so that we can remove that stigma of African descent women have to be strong. And I love
Absolutely.
one of the comments here. It says, healing is important. Thank you in the A zone for listening to us tonight. Healing is essential. It's extremely important. And so
Hmm.
I want to talk about also the African descent men, and how they were not taught to express their emotions.
Right.
Just give us some background on that.
Well, you have to understand that African descent people weren't seen as, it was Africans weren't seen as humans, right? We were property. So as far as emotions and psychological health and mental health and healing, those weren't really things that we could worry about, because we were constantly working and fighting to not be slaves. You know what I mean? So when we talk about emotions, especially for Black men, you know if we are seen as again as having this strength, right? Men don't cry, men don't show emotions. Men are supposed to be tough and all those things. And I think we have to again change the narrative, and stop claiming those things, and pretty much force us to be broken, because if you're not allowed to share to show emotions, you pretty much ask not to be humans. You know what I mean? Not to feel anything, and that's not healthy. So I think for a lot of us, man, we have to again come to a space, where we can freely express how we feel and freely, accept it. Right? If we feel sad, there's nothing wrong with it, right? We have to accept it and then work through it, and change that state of mind. But first, we have to accept that, what, I'm feeling this way, instead of having to dwell in it, and let it take over you, before you can even do something about it. Because if you don't accept it, then to you it's not real, but it's killing a lot of us,
Yeah.
black. Mhm.
Yes, I love that. It's so essential for African descent men to understand that mental health is very important. It is very important for you to take care of yourself. It is very important that you take care of your family around you emotionally.
Right.
You can provide in multiple different ways, but you have to emotionally be ready to provide that emotional support to your family, and that's teaching them how to have healthy coping mechanisms moving forward. So we're
Yeah.
going to take a quick commercial break really quickly. We will be right back.
Are you in search of a natural product for the mind, body, and soul? Well, you've come to the right place. Lovey's Hand. We handcraft all of our products with you in mind. So do us a favor. Visit us at www.lovieshand.com and get growing with us.
Thank you for that commercial, Lovey's Hand. She's one of our sponsors. We really appreciate everything that she does for Survivor Not by Chance. We are so grateful to have her. Shonda is the owner of Lovey's Hand, and she is my producer. And I'm so appreciative of her being here and helping us get through these lives. All right, so let's get back to it. Inherited hurt. What does this term mean?
Um, we've all inherited some type of hurt from our parents. And if we want to take it all the way back, to slavery, where we inherited hurt from, our ancestors who passed them down to their children, and it just keeps being passed on from generations to generations. So for me, when I wrote about that, inherited hurt, like, when I have conversations with my mom, she was
Mm.
hurt, and she raised me with the hurt that she was going through. So I inherited some of her hurt,
Mm.
and I talked about that because I didn't want to pass that down to my daughter. You know what I mean? So I faced that and accepted the fact that, what, like, my mom, she did her best. She was great, but there were some things that weren't great. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what a lot of us have to come to term with, because a lot of us don't feel right saying that our parents weren't perfect. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And I think the more we do that, the more we keep continuing that cycle of hurt and brokenness, because we can't face it, either because we're afraid to hurt our parents, or afraid to make them feel guilty, or you know what I mean. So, but we have to accept that a lot of us inherited hurt from our parents. That's just the reality of it, and there's nothing wrong with it. We just have to come to a space to heal from it. It's our responsibility to heal, and not blame, not keep blaming them for the fact that they were hurt and they passed down this hurt to us. And through conversations, we can actually help each other heal. And having these conversations with my mother, actually help her heal. You know what
Yes.
I mean? So I think it's important for parents and children to sit down, have this conversation. They're not always gonna be, pleasant. They're not always gonna be easy, but they're important. Because when she would talk about the way that she was brought up, and I'm like, well, I get it. And
Mm-hmm.
I was able to forgive her,
Right.
When I learned, her history, you know what I mean, like the way she was brought up. And so because of that, because of the fact that I was able to empathize with her and forgive her, I was able to get rid of a lot of the things that I was carrying in my heart, in regards to her. So it is important to face those things, to have conversations with, with our parents or whoever raised us.
Yes, I love that. It's very important, and I know for me, when I started my healing, my intentional healing journey, when I started this podcast 2 years ago, I interviewed my mother, my biological mother, and I was able to understand her perspective
Yeah.
and why she treated me and my siblings the way that she did, and why she, had her addiction because of her trauma, because
Right.
of what happened to her. And the fact that we were able to have a conversation, it allowed us to mend parts of our relationship.
Hmm.
And then I had to learn to forgive her for
Right.
not understanding
Right.
some of the things that she did. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah. I know.
And a lot of times we hold on to what our parents do to us because we feel attacked. We feel like we need to defend ourselves.
Mhm.
But many times, these parents really don't know. There is no rule book to being a parent.
I know. I know. No, it's so sad, really, because again, you have to look at the lineage of where we came from. We didn't have a healthy start post slavery. You know what I mean? So we have to learn to forgive each other. We have to learn to give each other grace, and that starts with our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were like, they were the first source of our pain. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it was not intentional. It wasn't because they chose to hurt us. It wasn't because they didn't love us, but the way they learned to love just wasn't healthy. So
Right.
we have
Right.
we have to learn to understand them, empathize with them, and forgive them. And when we're able to forgive and understand, then we'll be able to heal at the same time.
Yes. And senior naturalist said, this is true. This is absolutely true. And so let's go forward and discuss what we owe to our children. I love it. Like, I don't want to give too much away because the book is so, when I say this book is amazing, Kings and Queens, if you can, please hop on Amazon. You can go to his website, Strong Women, Fed Up Men, Defeated Sons, and Broken Daughters. This book will change your life. It will help you look at your life in a completely different perspective, and you will see things a lot clearly. So, we owe it to our children. Let's discuss that.
Yes. Growing up in a Haitian culture, we have a saying that says children are, how does it go in English? I know it in Creole.
Say it in Creole.
It goes "Petit Sigisha Smiley" is right. Like children are the wealth of the poor.
Mm,
And because of that narrative, that saying, that mindset, parents feel like, I'm raising you, and then you're gonna owe me, right? And
mm,
then children will grow up to feel like, well, you owed me, but you didn't give me what I felt like I deserved. You know what
mm,
I'm saying? But in reality, when we look at our parents, what they really owe us is teaching us, is loving us, right, and raising us to be asset to society. Not necessarily the materialistic components that society tells us that our parents should give us. If they don't, then they fail us. That's not what it is. So but so to me, I wanted to be able to give my daughter healthy habits, right? I
mm,
wanted to be able to give her, to interact with her in healthy ways, right? It wasn't just about, paying for school. It wasn't just about, making sure she was financially, she has, a college, uh, 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 you know, what's the word? It's a college fund ready,
Mhm.
but it was it's more important for me to raise her to be healthy. It's more important for me to raise her to feel loved and valued, and for her to be able to look at herself and see herself in those regards. So I think we have to understand that as parents, it's not just about maintaining our children. We owe them love. We owe them, guidance. We owe them
Yes.
protection, right? We owe them, the teaching them, because again, so I talk about this concept of the manual, right?
Mm.
We are the manual that the children come with, right?
Mhm.
So we have to allow them to read that manual, and that manual has to be accurate. It's in some sense, right? So which is why it's important as parents for us to heal and for us to have better, healthier mindsets, so we can raise our children in healthier spirits, and not pass down to them the things that we felt like broke us, the things that we felt like we should have had better of, right? Like love and protection, and then feeling like we're worthy to be here. So to me that's important. Love,
Yes.
protection, teaching, guidance, like those are the things that parents owe to their children.
Yes, I love that. And even as a parent, and each person who is parenting children, whether you're a godparent, whether you're an auntie or uncle, whatever role you play in children's lives, children are looking at you.
Right.
I will admit, as a parent, I had horrible healthy coping mechanisms in the beginning
Yeah.
because I didn't know.
Right.
But when I intentionally taught myself and sought out help to learn more about what good parents would do with children, it
Right.
allowed me to have a better dynamic relationship with my children. So, for example, the way I grew up compared to the way I'm raising my children are completely different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'll give you an example. For example, I had to wash the dishes. I could
Yeah.
not leave dishes in the sink, and it's good healthy habits. But I would come home and dishes would be in the sink from
Right.
school. So if I didn't create the dishes, why do I have to wash the dishes?
Yeah.
Well, it was my obligation because I owed it to my parents to keep my upkeep. And
Right.
so I had to understand that different things happened when I was younger does not mean that I have to display that to my children. And
Right.
so I have to take accountability as well. I allow my children to tell me when they have something they don't agree with,
Hmm.
because it gives them the freedom to feel like they have an opinion. They are human beings,
Right.
they're
Right.
little people,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
So their emotions and their feelings are valid.
Right.
My daughter say, "Well, I didn't make all of these dishes, before I was at school all day." It's my obligation to move forward and clean the dishes and make sure that she doesn't come home into having dishes in the sink
Right.
and
Right.
she has to automatically get on her job soon as she gets home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Children aren't here for us to work to, not to death, but to just constantly keep working.
Right. Right. Right.
And that was the stereotypical thing for us growing up. So
Yeah.
learning to find a balance between how you were raised versus how you are raising your children is
Yeah.
very, very essential.
It is. It is.
And so you also talk about future generations and how we pass trauma down from one generation to the next.
Hmm.
And going forward, what do you want to pass down to your daughter, and your future children?
Um, Love,
Mm,
understanding, compassion, and clarity. I
mm,
feel like a lot of families, they have these they call them curses, right?
mm,
But they have the like chaos. But, it's almost like they have the family feuds that no one truly understands the roots of it, but
mm,
they keep it going
mm,
because one family member just doesn't want to let go, right? Because they, the hurt they inherited is so deep and strong. They refuse to, to let it go, and so they keep passing down all those, feuds and pain and hurt. That just, that just destroys people. So for me, really is to have a clean slate with my
Mm.
daughter, right? I don't want to have any resentments towards anybody. I don't want to, I don't want to have anything where she's gonna feel like, what, I have to carry this legacy of pain because I love my dad, right? Because I don't want to
Mm.
disappoint my dad, or because I don't want to, make my dad feel like I'm against him just because I'm talking to somebody he doesn't talk to. So for me, really, again, it's just that, having a clean slate, be at peace with everybody, with myself, and that way she can, truly see what being loving and caring and at peace truly
Mm.
are. And that way she can learn to love herself, peacefully, lovingly, and without all the, the extra hurt.
Yeah, I love that. And if you all listen to what Mark just said, not one time did he say he want to leave wealth. Not one time did he say he wants to leave millions and millions and millions of dollars. Not one time did he mention anything materialistic.
Right.
And so we have to get back to a space where we understand that life is not just material things. Because when you're passing things on from generation to generation, you want to pass on healing. You want to pass on love. You want to pass on peace. You want to pass on things that will go to their next generation.
Right.
And so the goal is to make sure that we're passing things on to not only make our generations better going forward after us, but to make the world better. Because the more people who pass down love, the more people who pass down peace, the more people who pass down compassion, that's going to spread.
Absolutely.
And that's going to allow us to learn how to be authentically ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. No, for me, it's important because, if you look at, again, there's nothing wrong with, passing down generational wealth to your children. But when you have no value, when you have no sense of purpose, when you have, no care in the world for anybody else but yourself, and money, then you're not helping society, right? You're not helping making the world a better place. So for me, I think, when we can create and raise healthier people, healthier human beings, healthier children, then, we'll be able to change the world. We'll be able to change society, because, I work hard, so she'll be fine financially.
Yes.
That's fine, right? But my concern is for her to be in a space where she's, even if she has the financial means, she knows how to handle it, right? She knows that that's not the most important thing in the world. She needs to be a decent human being, a God fearing, whatever helps it make a great impact on society. She should aspire to be that, instead of, focusing on, financial stability. Because if you're not mentally stable, having the money really doesn't do you any good.
Yes, I was just going to add that in there because it's so many people who have trust funds and so many millions of dollars from generation to generation,
Yeah.
and they go through it and blow it because they're not at peace.
Right. Yeah.
There are millionaires who are struggling with mental health conditions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so when we take it and make it a priority to have inner peace, love, compassion, and healing, that automatically will allow us to, if we have millions, if we have wealth, whatever we have, it would allow us to use it authentically,
Yeah.
morally,
Yeah.
and use values when we make decisions.
Hmm. Definitely. Definitely.
All right. So, you in your book, I love how you put the onus back on the individual reader.
Right.
And as you put the onus back on the reader, you're telling the reader, okay, take a step back, Evaluate yourself. Do you see any parts of yourself in this? Do you see any parts of your family dynamics in this? And
Right.
one of the things, and I will speak about in regards to myself, was the African descent woman, and how we have this defense mechanism that we use
Mm.
for just about everything. Most of us, I'm not going to say all of us, but most of us, depending on where you're raised. For me, I was raised with a lot of trauma, and so I was very defensive all the time. Anything someone said to me constructively, I took offense to it, not realizing it was helping me. But once I reflected and I learned that everything someone says to you is not a dagger at you, it's
Right.
not an attack.
Yeah.
Then I was able to reflect. So let's talk about the reflection parts of the book and why you felt it was important to add that in there.
Well,
Well,
if you
if you
can't
can't
reflect
reflect
on,
on
your
your
life,
life,
your
your
experiences,
experiences,
it's
it's
hard to grow, right? Because we all, yeah, who we were yesterday, it shouldn't be who we are today, right?
Yes.
Because every day is different. Every day is an opportunity to be better, to be healthier. So, and that comes with, reflection. And one thing, actually, when I talked about, when I wrote about reflection, um, my daughter was, I believe she was 2, and she was in pre-K, and she was talking about how she didn't get to be, star student of the day.
Mm.
And she went on to say, "Well, I think I know why I didn't get the star. It was because I didn't listen the first time."
Mm.
Uh, and
Wow.
right, and I'm like, wow, that's deep, right? For a 2-year old to reflect on the fact that, what I didn't get this result because of, my behavior, because of such and such. So I think it's important for all of us to, reflect on what we've done, reflect on how we were raised, reflect on, some of the decisions that we made, not to dwell on them, but to kind of understand them. It's almost like taking a step back and they say, you know what, I was like this yesterday. I don't have to be like this today, right? It doesn't have to be my tomorrow. So when you're able to reflect, you're able to grow, you're able to
Mm.
change, you're able to accept, criticism. You're able to accept the fact that, I'm not perfect. I've made some mistakes, and today I'm gonna, be better. Right. What I did yesterday, it already happened, but I don't want to be this person today. So,
Mm.
that's why I think it's very, very important to reflect on, who you were, right? And understand who you're trying to be and decide to be that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And not be offended. It's funny. I created a video about that. When you are in your healing stage and ready to change, you have to be able to accept criticism.
Yes.
You have to be able to take in information and process them, right? Instead of, being defensive. And that's how you're gonna grow, because again, the world is pretty much a reflection of who we are, right? You kind of look at, who you are through the lenses of other people, because sometimes a lot of us have, blind spots that we can't see. So when someone brings it up to us and say, you know what, your behavior is hurtful, or you did this, right? For me, I don't become defensive. I don't get offended. I take it in, process it, think about it, and then reflect on it,
Mm.
and then determine, well, what, if was this really true, did I really act that way? And if I did, I will apologize, and choose to change my behavior and be more intentional and conscious about, that same behavior next time, to not repeat it.
I love that. I love that. Reflection is key. When you reflect, you heal.
Right.
We have to make that a hashtag. When you reflect, you heal.
Yeah.
Um, Healing is going to push you into your growth, into your destiny. We all have something we can heal from. None of us are exempt from healing.
Right.
None of us are exempt from growing. But we just have to give ourselves the opportunity. And you will hear a lot of people talk about how they had to look at what they did and take accountability for their actions.
Right.
If you think about someone who went to prison for something they did and they come out, they had time to reflect. They had time to sit and think about what they did. And then they come out and their lives completely change for the better. A lot of people come out and they're automatically out there going to detention centers, helping other people heal, helping other people see how their traumas affected them to lead them to the direction where they were. So if we don't take accountability and reflect on who we are and what we've done, it's not going to allow us to be the best versions of ourselves.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else you want to talk to us about tonight?
I think we covered a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate for mental health. I always want to encourage men to to seek mental health, because a lot of things that we deal with as men, women as well. We can't heal ourselves. And sometimes we just need that person, or that coach, that therapist, that counselor to kind of help us dissect certain things and understand the roots of them. And even having a conversation really will help you really process certain things, instead of keeping everything inside and thinking that you have to do it on your own, because you don't. So yeah, I encourage everyone to talk to someone, seek the help. There's nothing wrong with it, and you'll be better for it, and your children are going to be better for it. Your loved ones, your family, your partner, they're all going to thank you, because you're going to be at peace with yourself, and you're going to be a healthier person.
I love that. So I just want to remind you all, you can get this fantastic book, Strong Women, Fed Up Men, Defeated Sons, Broken Daughters, Healing Generational Pain, on Amazon. You can also go to Mark's website, healingvibes.org. He's also on Instagram, author Momplaisir on Instagram. And you will, if you are a man and you're looking for a coach, reach out to Mark. He is an amazing resource. He will help you get through your next step in life. So, Mark, I want to thank you so much for being here with us tonight. This was an amazing episode. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Survivor Not by Chance. We are here helping people share their stories in regards to surviving. Just as Mark said, we don't want to keep surviving. We want to move forward in healing. So we are survivors not by chance, because we fought to survive, but now we no longer need to live in survival mode. We're able to live and authentically be ourselves and move forward in life. So, Mark, thank you again for being here with us. We truly appreciate your help. You can find this book on Amazon as well. So, peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Thank you again for tuning in. Have a good night.
Good night. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Survivor Not by Chance podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you to today's guest. We are survivors not by chance. We survive because we fought to survive. Peace and blessings to you all.